All right, good morning. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I thought I would make this video just kind of as a fun recap. Normally, I don't recap the Joth games. I haven't been involved in every game, and the Joth games are OSE, Old School Essentials, Hex Crawl slash Dungeon Crawl, Overland. Todd McGowan runs those games and has been for quite some time for us. I think we're in our 24th session in total, but that spans back, I think, a couple of years. So I I didn't get into the habit of recapping them because number one, they're on the channel. We try to record them all. And number two, I wasn't involved in every session for a number of reasons. So I just haven't. And the third reason is survivability, right? Uh, it would be recapping ultimately the details, not necessarily a story, right? Because a story comes from the events, from what the happening. But I thought I wanted to make a Thanksgiving video, say hello to everybody, and wish everyone out there, everyone, whether you're American or not, we should all take a moment to be grateful and thankful for things in our lives. And one of the things is the online community, and certainly my friends that I play with and share this amazing hobby with, and have done for 12 years, for a long time. So on and off, I mean, I come and go. And for all the feedback and the conversation and the dialogue. I mean, all that stuff is part of being involved in the social community, right? I don't partake in Facebook or Twitter and things like that because I prefer, I suppose, to have um, I I suppose, well, for a number of reasons, but the biggest one is I'd like to have dialogue, or I like to have more of a relationship, so to speak. Facebook was a great tool with some of my groups, though, for communicating daily with those individuals. So, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Anyway, so the gist of this is old school. So I've been preparing for my own local campaign using White Box, and so Joth is always great fun to get back to, and um, so last night was a very we didn't know how many people we were going to have. John fortunately was able to join us. So it was me, Dell, and John, and then Todd ran us, and it was a perfect little dungeon crawl. Farmer Tam finds a, a dungeon doorway in the middle of his property from a toppled giant tree, and uprooted, and it exposes these old dungeon doors or doors to something. And so, of course, Farmer Tam has asked us all to investigate as his dog disappeared into it. And of course, what do adventurers do? They do these things. And it was a great little dungeon crawl. We're two rooms, maybe two rooms, and a stairway and a hallway. And we got 2 hours out of that. And that's the thing that's amazing about role playing, right? So for 2 hours and 10 minutes of sheer entertainment, and we go down some stairs, into a smaller room, there's a room there, and then we go back up the stairs, we encounter, so it's, I mean, 2 hours worth of entertainment on a yeah, I mean, I think it was a hallway, stairway. I mean, it's amazing. And of course, much of that because we're crawling, right? We're investigating as we go. We're trying to be smart, trying to be safe, etc. So anyway, Gary Shamot was my latest character. Gary and Stratford. First time he had met Trotter. That is the halfling. That's Dale's halfling character. So we met just the morning. We agree to Gary kind of pushes it that this is no big deal. Let's go. Let's get this done. Let's go out there. Let's find the treasure for the for Tam, and let's save his dog, and let's get back to Blackfish with some coin. So Gary kind of pushes, let's go. And we have to outfit. So I get some torches and things. And Dell's character is not about to walk it. So he gets a pony, and he hires a kid, a torchbearer slash baggage handler kid. We go out to the farm, and Farmer Ted's there with his wife and his daughter, his teenage daughter. And of course, Gary, I've already defined in both my creation of my character, but also in game, that Gary is charming. That's where his last name comes from. And he's always trying to woo the girls, etc. So he kind of hits on the young farmer's daughter. Farmer Tam tells us there's the door, shows it to us. We ask both his youngest son and Dell's hireling to dig out the door, and then once the doors are dug out, we go in, and great fun. And so torch lit, bit by bit, we come to the stairs. Down the stairs, we hear moaning. and some kind of what we think maybe supernatural. We'd investigate the stairwell further down. It has skulls um, in alcoves lined up along both sides of the hallways of the stairwell. And the moaning is coming from these skulls. So with a torch, I knock one of the skulls off. We see there's a pipe that seems to be sending the moans up from somewhere else. But at this point, we think it might be a trick. Stratford and I think both think it's not. As long as it ain't ghosts and it ain't supernatural, let's go. And we step on a trap on the stairs, which knocks us all unconscious. We wake up hours later. My torch is dead. We're in the dark. We're at the bottom of the stairwell. All three of us failed to save. The dog is there asleep in the middle of this chamber. We get up. Dell's character snatches up the pup as Stratford alludes to using the dog as bait to go up another stairwell that's in the opposite side of the room. We decide to go back up first. There is a double door that is blocked from this side. I mean, meaning somebody bolted the door from this side, big double door. And Gary and Stratford, I think both, Dell's character Trotter says, hey, listen, that's where the treasure's got to be. And both Stratford and both myself and John were like, let's investigate the rest of this before we come back and knock out this. I mean, this thing was barred for a reason. We're thinking it's pretty deadly. So anyway, we go back up the stairs. We come around a slight curvature in the wall. It's a stone wall, and there's a stone door. We all put our shoulders into it. And Gary had, just before this, had noticed there's a slight slant in this hallway. I, as a player, know what that means. It's maybe, natural, but it may also be because everything leads downward. But it could also be because something it's built for something to roll. But again, we don't metagame. I don't metagame that. Gary shrugs and says, the floors aren't flat here, but I don't say anything to my buddies about it. And we put our shoulders into this door, and unfortunately, we trigger a trap that is a giant boulder, comes from up where we had come from and chases us down this hall. Gary ultimately succumbs under it. Stratford is hit by it, but fortunately survives it. Trotter, holding dog, by the way, dog in arms, Trotter manages to sidestep it, as does the dog. And the boulder ultimately gets stuck on my body, on Gary's body. So Gary's done, right? Chalk another one up for old school, right? So Gary is out of the picture. Stratford had a minor injury, but enough. At this level, even a minor injury, it becomes, it threatens your life future. Trotter's doing well. They investigate further down. They find what looks like might be a switch, but the boulder's stuck on my body, so the boulder never reached the end. So maybe this was something that the boulder would run into, and it would drop the boulder. Who knows what would happen? But they decide to go, at this point, that's it. So they decide to go back down into the main chamber and open those barred doors. And then they walk into the room, and it turns out to be a long corridor. At the very end, they can see a casket. All the torches light, or all of the wall sconces light magically. Halfway through traversing across this room to the casket, the floor gives way into a pit trap. Unfortunately, Stratford is killed instantly. He fails his save. The Trotter again makes his save. The dog, unfortunately, fails to save. So Trotter managed to drag this dog around and get the dog killed. The dog would have survived had Trotter not saved the dog would have survived. Anyway, Trotter survives. He climbs back up. He unearths the casket and discovers a dead, it looks like, I would presume is an old dead elf or something. And he salvages all the treasure, spends time dragging the treasure out, splits the difference with the farmer, and buries our characters as on the property there, and then goes back to town with the treasure, and that's where it ended. Boom. But another great session. And again, I've said it before, old school's lethal. It's just the nature of it. It's how it is. And if you're going to play these games, you have to anticipate you're going to see characters die and things. And sometimes I suppose, and I think it's good to have a variation, right? Some games, they're designed where it's all about characters, and characters are going to survive. And some games I think we should play lots of different games and get all these different variants. And so I like coming back to the old school. I certainly love GMing the old school. And it's a different experience, and you have to go into it knowing that experience and what you're going to get from that experience. And it's a great fun. So anyway, I rolled up another character right in the middle of the session, Jocko, a choleric. He is really not very good. I rolled a 16 for his wisdom, so I made him a choleric, but -1 on his constitution, -1 on his dexterity, 9 strength. So Jocko, the irony of ironies is Jocko will be my character that survives long term, right? I rolled 4 hit points, but with a 5 hit points, but with a -1 con, he's got 4 hit points. So I can't say that because the odds that he'll die at the hands of a basic trap or whatever. A first fight with a goblin could be the end of it. But that's just the nature of the old school game. If you're going to play it, you're going to honor what it is and how it was written and how it was designed. These are the experiences you're going to get, for good or ill. And if you know that, you can appreciate it for what it is, and you can get a lot more out of it, of course, because people have been playing old D&D or old D20 for 50 years. And I guarantee you, some people, that's all they play. It's all I played for a long time. And I only started trying different games, purchasing different games, engaging in different experiences. And I'm happy I did, because I realized what I had not gotten in my role playing, especially as a GM. I think I realized much of my own frustration from the D20 side as a GM. Why are the players not engaging, or why are players not building characters? And I realized, oh, well, because the nature of some of these old school games is you don't invest in a character until the character begins to survive, right? So anyway, great game, another great game. And what I really liked about this was a straight up old school dungeon crawl, very simple. It doesn't have to be elaborate. We are 3 guys investigating an old tomb is what it amounts to. And well, we succumb to the things that are put in there by the deceased to protect his body and to protect. I mean, think about it. You're technically grave robbing, and when you're grave robbing, there should be dangers to that, especially when you're desecrating tombs of potentially, royalty or great people or whatever. So to make assumptions that these places wouldn't be trapped, etc. Now, had Gary survived this? Because some people say, well, when would I not metagame the slant? Gary never experienced it before, in my opinion. If Gary had survived this, and if we did another dungeon crawl down the road, those are the things Gary would say, hey, I remember this, I've been through this. And I would begin to add to Gary's character by saying, I am now amassing not only knowledge from me as a human being, because we're playing at our skill level is what matters in old school. So I could have played that very meta. I could, and the difference between me and Dell, I think, is we don't play old D&D using in a way our player skills, right? We play from a character's perspective, which means our characters don't last as long. But I could have instantly said, hey, okay, guys, look, listen, I think this may be trapped. This is slanted. I'm not touching that door, right? Or we don't touch that door without some escape route, right? And we could do that. And that's how you should probably, if you expect to survive and you want to play old school D&D as in a way, a puzzle game or as a actual survival game, you probably want to do that. But I play from a character's perspective. So had Gary survived, I would have assumed this knowledge for Gary in the next time he runs into these things, right? Next time I meet goblins, I'll know what goblins are all about. But I'm not going to make assumptions about zombies that I know from 50 years of gaming and what zombies are, Gary doesn't know zombies, the thing about zombies, right? So I try to play that ignorant at level 1 of what Gary would or would not know. If I had a level 5, somebody wrote, oh gosh, I can't remember now. I'm sorry, but on the last video, somebody remarked they had read once in a magazine that Aragorn was equal to a level 3 ranger and Gandalf a level 5 a wizard. And I thought, my God, that's perfect. This is exactly where I envision Aragorn and Gandalf in those adventures. They're not 15 level wizards and 15 level rangers. That it's just absolutely, I don't know what era he read that article or whatever that was in, and so if Gary was a level 3 fighter, I would begin to act more, I would begin to treat things more like a veteran and more like a hero, right? But at level 1, Gary's done very little so far, and he hasn't experienced much of this, especially Blackfish Bay and Joth. So, but a great game, another great game with Todd, Dell, and John again. Only my second game ever with John. John's great. And hopefully now that we've changed to Wednesday nights, John's going to be able to join us more, and hopefully John will also join our GM rotation where he'll run some stuff. Right now, David and I are interested in Blade Runner. He's going to be running hopefully maybe at least a one-off for us with Blade Runner. I'm a huge fan of the Blade Runner IP. I really like the Mutant Year Zero engine. So you take Blade Runner, you blend it with Mutant Year Zero. I can imagine I will definitely enjoy this new Blade Runner material. So everybody have a wonderful holiday and a wonderful weekend. For those of you who are traveling, be safe. Good day.